Ethan Ward walked into the hospital pharmacy expecting nothing more than a routine prescription pickup, but when the nurse asked for his surname, everything changed. His ex-girlfriend Maya appeared in that doorway after 6 years of silence, and beside her stood a blonde little boy with eyes that mirrored his own. In one devastating moment, Ethan realized he'd been running from the biggest mistake of his life, and that mistake had a name, a face, and 6 years of memories he could never get back. Maya had raised their son alone, building a life without him, and now she had to decide, could she trust the man who abandoned her once to stay this time? As fear, doubt, and old wounds threatened to tear them apart again, 3 hearts hung in the balance: a mother protecting her child, a father trying to prove he'd changed, and a little boy who just wanted a family. But second chances don't come easy, and one misheard conversation could destroy everything they were building. If you're watching this, hit subscribe and tell me where you're tuning in from, because this story of love, loss, and finding your way home will stay with you long after it ends. The fluorescent lights in the hospital pharmacy hummed softly above Ethan's head. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other, the prescription paper crumpled slightly in his sweaty palm. It had been a long day at the office, the kind where everything felt heavy and nothing quite went right. His boss had piled on 3 new projects, his computer had crashed twice, and somewhere between lunch and the drive over here, a headache had started pulsing behind his eyes. The line moved slowly. An elderly woman in front of him counted out exact change, coin by coin. Ethan watched the seconds tick by on the clock mounted above the pharmacy counter. 6:47 p.m. He just wanted to grab his medication and go home. Next, please. Ethan stepped forward. The cashier, a middle-aged woman with reading glasses hanging from a beaded chain, smiled at him politely. "Just picking up," Ethan said, sliding the prescription across the counter. She scanned it, typed something into her computer, then glanced up at him. Name? Ethan Ward. Behind the counter, another woman in scrubs, a nurse, maybe looked up sharply. She had been organizing medication bottles on a metal cart, but her hands froze mid-motion. Her eyes locked onto Ethan for just a second too long. The cashier didn't seem to notice. She kept typing, squinting at her screen. "All right, Mr. Ward, just give me one moment while I—" "Excuse me." The nurse stepped closer, her voice quiet but firm. She leaned toward the cashier and whispered something Ethan couldn't hear. The cashier frowned, confused. "Really? Are you sure?" The nurse nodded. Her face looked serious, almost worried. She glanced at Ethan again, then back at the cashier. "I'll handle this. Can you take the next customer?" Ethan's stomach tightened. What was going on? Did they mess up his prescription? Did his insurance not go through? The cashier shrugged and waved the person behind Ethan forward. The nurse motioned for Ethan to step to the side, away from the line. "Is there a problem?" Ethan asked, trying to keep his voice steady. No problem with your prescription," the nurse said quickly. She looked nervous. "It's just, there's someone who needs to speak with you. Would you mind waiting here for just a moment? Someone? Who? Please, just wait. I'll be right back." Before Ethan could ask anything else, she disappeared through a door behind the pharmacy counter. He stood there, confused and increasingly anxious. Other customers glanced at him as they passed. He felt exposed, like everyone was wondering what he'd done wrong. 2 minutes passed, then 3. Finally, the door opened again. The nurse stepped out, followed by another woman, and Ethan's heart stopped. Maya! She stood there in pale blue scrubs, a clipboard clutched against her chest. Her hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and her brown eyes, those same eyes he'd spent months trying to forget, looked right at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Surprise, maybe fear, maybe something else entirely. But what made Ethan's breath catch wasn't just seeing Maya again after all these years. It was the little boy standing beside her. He was small, maybe 6 years old, with light brown skin and soft blonde curls. He wore a blue t-shirt with a cartoon rocket on it and tiny sneakers that lit up when he shifted his weight. He stayed close to Maya's leg, half hiding behind her, peeking out at Ethan with curious eyes. Wide, familiar eyes. Ethan felt the floor tilt beneath him. "Ethan," Maya said softly. Her voice was exactly the same, warm, careful, measured. "Hi, Maya," His own voice came out hoarse. What? What are you doing here? I work here, pediatrics. She swallowed hard, glancing down at the boy. I was on my break when I heard your name. I thought maybe. She trailed off, her fingers tightening around the clipboard. Ethan stared at the child. The resemblance was impossible to ignore. The shape of his face, the set of his eyes, even the way he tilted his head slightly when he was uncertain. This is Caleb, Maya said quietly. The boy looked up at her, then back at Ethan. He didn't say anything, just watched with those big, observant eyes. Ethan's mind spun. 6 years old. That meant... He did the math quickly, his heart pounding harder with every second. It lined up perfectly with when they'd broken up, when he'd panicked and pulled away, when he'd been too scared and too young and too stupid to handle what they had. Can we talk somewhere private? Maya's voice pulled him back to the present. Ethan nodded. He couldn't form words. Maya spoke briefly to the nurse who'd fetched her, then led Ethan down a hallway. Caleb walked between them, his small hand wrapped around Maya's. Ethan noticed how the boy glanced up at him every few steps, curious but cautious. They ended up in a small counseling room with a round table, a few chairs, and motivational posters on the walls. Maya closed the door gently and gestured for Ethan to sit. Caleb climbed into the chair next to Maya and immediately started flipping through a stack of colorful pamphlets about hand-washing and flu season. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Ethan stared at his hands. Maya stared at the table. Caleb hummed softly to himself as he examined a cartoon picture of a smiling thermometer. I didn't know you were in town, Maya finally said. I moved back 6 months ago. New job. Oh, another silence. Ethan forced himself to look at her, really look at her. She was still beautiful, maybe more so now, with a quiet strength in her face that hadn't been there before. But she also looked tired, worn down, like she'd been carrying something heavy for a very long time. Maya, he said carefully, his voice barely above a whisper. Is he? She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were wet with unshed tears. Yes. The single word hung in the air between them. Ethan's chest tightened, his vision blurred. He felt like he might throw up. I tried to tell you, Maya said, her voice cracking slightly. I sent messages. I called, but you'd already. You were gone. I know. Shame burned hot in his throat. I panicked. After we broke up, I couldn't handle it. I blocked your number. I deleted social media. I ran. I know, she whispered. I figured that out eventually. Caleb looked up from his pamphlets, sensing the tension. Mommy? Maya reached over and smoothed his hair. It's okay, baby. Just grown-up talk. He seemed satisfied with that answer and went back to his reading. Ethan watched the gentle way Maya touched her son, their son, and something inside him cracked wide open. All these years. 6 years of birthdays and first steps and bedtime stories and scraped knees. 6 years he'd missed because he'd been too much of a coward to face his own fear. I'm sorry, he choked out. I'm so sorry, Maya. She looked at him with those deep brown eyes, and for a second he saw forgiveness there. Or maybe just exhaustion. I'm not trying to blame you, she said quietly. I'm just telling you what happened. When I found out I was pregnant, you were already gone. I didn't know how to find you. And then, she paused, glancing at Caleb. Then I had to figure it out on my own. You shouldn't have had to. No, she agreed. But I did, and I'm okay. We're okay. A pager on Maya's hip beeped loudly. She glanced down at it and sighed. I have to get back to my floor, she said, standing up. There's a patient waiting. Ethan stood too, panic rising in his chest. He couldn't let them walk out of this room. Not yet. Not without saying something that mattered. Can I see him again? The words tumbled out before he could stop them. Please. I know I don't deserve it, but please. Maya studied his face for a long moment. Caleb tugged on her scrubs, ready to go. I'm not asking anything from you, she said carefully. Caleb is my responsibility. He's my son. I've handled everything so far, and I can keep handling it. I know, but I'd like to be part of his life. If you'll let me. She bit her lip, considering. Finally, she nodded once. We can talk more, but not here, not now. Okay, when? I'll think about it. She reached for Caleb's hand. Come on, sweetheart. We need to go back. As they walked toward the door, Caleb looked back over his shoulder at Ethan. Their eyes met, and the boy gave him a small, shy smile. Then they were gone. Ethan stood alone in the counseling room, his heart hammering against his ribs. The motivational posters stared down at him, full of cheerful encouragement and clip-art sunshine. He had a son. The reality of it crashed over him in waves. The parking lot was dark by the time Ethan made it outside. He'd completely forgotten about his prescription, but somehow it didn't matter anymore. Nothing mattered except the image of that little boy's face burned into his mind. He sat in his car with the engine off, hands gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. His phone sat in the cup holder, screen dark. He stared at it for a full minute before finally picking it up and scrolling to his brother's contact. Jordan answered on the second ring. "Hey man, what's up? I need to tell you something." Ethan's voice sounded strange, distant, like it was coming from someone else's mouth. "You okay? You sound weird. I saw Maya." There was a pause. Jordan knew who Maya was. He'd been the one who'd helped Ethan pack up his apartment all those years ago when Ethan decided to move across the state and start fresh. He'd also been the one who'd told Ethan he was being an dime. Idiot. But Ethan hadn't listened. "Okay," Jordan said carefully. "And?" "She has a son." Another pause, longer this time. "Oh." "He's 6 years old, Jordan. 6. And he looks exactly like me." "Holy," Jordan caught himself. "Are you sure?" "Yeah, I'm sure. She told me." "Where are you right now?" "Hospital parking lot." "Go home." "I'm coming over." "You don't have to." "I'm coming over." "Don't argue. Just go home and I'll be there in 20. The line went dead. Ethan sat there for another few minutes, staring at the glowing windows of the hospital. Somewhere in there, Maya was working, taking care of sick children, being strong and capable and everything he'd never been. And Caleb, his son, their son. He finally turned the key in the ignition and drove home on autopilot, barely registering the streets or the stoplights. His mind kept replaying the moment when Maya had said yes, the certainty in her voice, the pain. By the time he pulled into his apartment complex, his hands were shaking. Jordan showed up exactly 20 minutes later with a 6-pack of beer and a bag of chips. He took one look at Ethan's face and set everything down on the kitchen counter. "All right, start from the beginning." Ethan told him everything. The pharmacy, the nurse, Maya, appearing with Caleb, the conversation in the counseling room. Jordan listened without interrupting, his expression shifting from shock to concern to something that looked almost like pride. "So what are you going to do?" Jordan asked, when Ethan finally finished. "I don't know. She said we could talk more, but she didn't seem. I don't know. She didn't seem like she wanted me around. Can you blame her?" "No." Ethan dropped his head into his hands. "God, no. I was the worst. I ran away like a coward." "You were scared," Jordan said, more gently. "You were 23 and freaked out about commitment. I'm not saying it was right, but I get it. That doesn't make it okay." "No, it doesn't." Jordan leaned back in his chair. "But beating yourself up about it won't change what happened. The question is, what are you going to do now?" Ethan looked up at his brother. "I want to be in his life. I want to know him, then show up." "What?" "Show up. Be there. Consistently. Prove to Maya that you're not the same guy who ran away. Prove to yourself that you're not that guy anymore." Jordan grabbed a beer and popped it open. "But you need to be sure. Because if you do this halfway, if you start and then disappear again, you'll hurt that kid worse than if you'd never shown up at all." Ethan nodded slowly. His brother was right. This wasn't about making himself feel better or easing his guilt. This was about a 6-year-old boy who deserved a father who actually stuck around. "I can do this," Ethan said quietly. "Yeah? Yeah." Jordan studied him for a moment, then nodded. "All right then, don't screw it up." They sat in silence for a while, drinking beer and eating chips. Eventually Jordan turned on a basketball game, but Ethan barely paid attention. His mind was already spinning with plans, with possibilities, with all the ways this could go right or terribly wrong. Before Jordan left, he clapped Ethan on the shoulder. "Hey, for what it's worth, I think you can do this too." After his brother was gone, Ethan pulled out his phone and scrolled through his old photos. He'd deleted most of the pictures of Maya, but there was one he'd kept buried deep in a forgotten album, the two of them at a park, laughing at something he couldn't remember anymore. She looked so young, so happy. He wondered if she'd ever be able to look at him like that again. Maya unlocked the door to her apartment, with Caleb's hand still firmly in hers. It was almost 8 o'clock, past their usual dinner time, but her shift had run long, and then there'd been Ethan. She still couldn't quite believe it had happened. After all these years of wondering, of occasionally searching his name online just to see if he was okay, he'd walked right into her hospital, right into her life again. "Mommy, I'm hungry." Caleb tugged on her hand. "I know, baby. Let's get some." Dinner started. She moved through the familiar routine of cooking boiling pasta, heating up sauce, cutting up vegetables for a quick salad. Caleb sat at the kitchen table with his coloring book, humming the theme song from his favorite cartoon. Everything felt normal on the surface, but Maya's hands trembled slightly as she stirred the pot. A knock on the door made her jump. "Who is it?" Caleb called out. Maya checked the peephole and felt both relief and dread. Her mother, Renee Brooks, had impeccable timing, as always. Maya opened the door and was immediately pulled into a hug. "Hey, baby girl. Thought I'd come by and help with dinner. I brought rolls from the bakery." Her mother held up a paper bag, then paused, studying Maya's face. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, Maya." Renee's voice took on that tone, the one that had extracted the truth from Maya since she was 5 years old. "What happened?" Maya glanced at Caleb, who was absorbed in his coloring, then lowered her voice. "I saw Ethan today." Her mother's eyes widened. "Ethan? Your Ethan?" "He's not my Ethan. But yes." "Where? How?" "At the hospital. He came in to pick up a prescription and I was there. And Caleb was with me." Renee was quiet for a moment, processing. Then she set down the bag of rolls and wrapped her arms around Maya again, tighter this time. "Oh, sweetheart, are you okay?" "I don't know." Maya's voice cracked. "I really don't know." They stood like that for a minute, Maya breathing in her mother's familiar perfume, feeling both like a child who needed comfort and a mother who needed to be strong. Finally, she pulled away and wiped her eyes. "He wants to see Caleb again." "What did you say?" "I said we'd talk about it." Renee's expression was hard to read, worry mixed with something else. "Protectiveness, maybe. And do you want him to see Caleb?" "I don't know that either." Maya moved back to the stove, stirring the pasta sauce even though it didn't need stirring. "Part of me thinks Caleb deserves to know his father, but part of me is terrified. What if Ethan disappears again? What if he hurts Caleb the way he hurt me? Those are fair questions. I can't let Caleb get attached to someone who might leave." "No," Renee agreed. "But you also can't protect him from everything. Sometimes people surprise us, sometimes they grow up." Maya looked at her mother, surprised. "I thought you'd tell me to keep him away." "I want to," Renee admitted. "Lord knows I want to protect you both. But I also know that little boy in there has asked about his daddy, and you've never been able to give him a real answer." As if on cue, Caleb called out from the table. "Mommy, is the man from the hospital going to come back?" Maya and Renee exchanged a look. "I don't know, sweetheart," Maya said carefully. "He seemed nice." Caleb went back to his coloring. "He had nice eyes." Maya's heart squeezed. Caleb had no idea that the man he'd met so briefly was his father, no idea how much history existed in that small room, no idea how one encounter had turned Maya's carefully constructed world completely upside down. "Come on," Renee said gently. "Let's get this dinner on the table. Everything else can wait." But as Maya served pasta and listened to Caleb chatter about his day at school, she couldn't stop thinking about Ethan, about the look on his face when he'd realized the truth, about the way his voice had cracked when he apologized, about the way her heart had ached when she saw him standing there, after all this time. That night, after Caleb had brushed his teeth and changed into his rocket ship pajamas, Maya tucked him into bed. She read him his favorite story, the one about the brave little mouse, and kissed his forehead. "Mummy? Yeah, baby? Who was that man?" Maya's breath caught. She'd known this question was coming, but she still wasn't ready for it. "He's someone I used to know," she said carefully. "A long time ago." "Did he know me when I was a baby?" "No, he didn't." Caleb thought about this, his young mind working through the implications. "Why not?" It's complicated, sweetheart. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. Did you make a mistake? No, but he did. Is he sorry? Maya smoothed back Caleb's curls, her eyes stinging. I think so, yes. Will I see him again? It was the same question Maya had been asking herself all evening. The honest answer was that she didn't know. The safe answer was probably no. But looking down at her son's hopeful face, she couldn't bring herself to close that door completely. Maybe, she whispered. We'll see. Caleb seemed satisfied with that. He yawned, snuggling deeper under his blankets. Within minutes, his breathing had evened out and he was asleep. Maya sat on the edge of his bed for a long time, just watching him, this beautiful boy. This perfect, innocent, wonderful boy who deserved the whole world, who deserved a father who would show up and be present and never, ever leave. Could Ethan be that person? She didn't know. But somewhere deep inside, beneath all the hurt and anger and fear, there was a tiny spark of hope, and that terrified her more than anything. The next morning, Ethan woke up early. He'd barely slept, his mind too full of Maya and Caleb and everything he'd missed. He went for a run, trying to clear his head, but it didn't help. The same thoughts kept circling back. He had to do something. He couldn't just wait and hope Maya would call. He needed to show her he was serious. By 8 a.m., he was showered and dressed and staring at his phone. The hospital's main number was easy to find. He dialed before he could talk himself out of it. Good morning, County General Hospital. How may I direct your call? Hi. I'm trying to reach someone who works in pediatrics. Maya Brooks? One moment, please. The hold music was some generic instrumental piece that made him more nervous. After what felt like an eternity, a different voice came on, the line. Pediatrics, this is Lila. Hi, I'm looking for Maya Brooks. Is she available? She's with a patient right now. Can I take a message? Ethan hesitated. What message could he possibly leave that wouldn't sound desperate or inappropriate? Could you just tell her that Ethan called, and that I'd like to talk when she has time, maybe during her lunch break? There was a pause. Ethan? Yes? Hold on. The line went silent again. A minute later, a different voice came through. This is Maya. His heart jumped. Hi. I'm sorry, I know you're working. I wanted to talk, if that's okay. She was quiet for a moment. He could hear hospital sounds in the background, beeping machines, distant voices, a child crying somewhere. Lunch, she finally said. I have lunch at 12:30, hospital cafeteria. I'll be there. Ethan, yeah? Don't be late. The line went dead. Ethan stared at his phone, his pulse racing. She'd agreed to meet. That was something. That was a start. He showed up at 12:20, 10 minutes early, and found a corner table in the cafeteria. The space was bigger than he expected, filled with doctors and nurses and visitors, all talking and eating and living their normal lives, while Ethan felt like his entire existence was balanced on a knife's edge. At exactly 12:30, Maya walked in, and she wasn't alone. Caleb was with her, holding her hand, wearing the same rocket ship shirt from yesterday. Maya scanned the cafeteria until she spotted Ethan. She said something to Caleb, and they walked over together. Hi, Maya said. Hi. Ethan stood up awkwardly, unsure what to do with his hands. Hey, Caleb. The boy looked up at him with those familiar eyes and offered a small wave. They sat down. Maya had brought food for herself and Caleb mac and cheese for him, a salad for her. Ethan had been too nervous to eat. I brought something, Ethan said, reaching into the bag beside him. He pulled out a small puzzle not too complicated, just right for a 6-year-old. Dinosaurs on the box. I thought maybe. I don't know. I thought you might like puzzles. Caleb's eyes lit up. He looked at Maya for permission. What do you say? She prompted gently. Thank you, Caleb said softly, taking the puzzle and examining the picture on the box with obvious delight. Maya's expression softened slightly. Just slightly. So, she said, picking at her salad, you wanted to talk? Yeah. I wanted to apologize again, properly. Not just sorry for running away, but sorry for missing everything, for not being there, for leaving you alone. You didn't know I was pregnant, but I should have been reachable. I should have been brave enough to at least stay in touch, even if we weren't together anymore. Maya set down her fork. Why weren't you? Brave enough? Yeah, Ethan took a deep breath. This was the hard part, the honest part. I was scared of everything, of commitment, of not being good enough, of turning into my dad. He glanced at Caleb, who was absorbed in studying his puzzle, then lowered his voice. My father left when I was 8, just walked out one day and never came back. Jordan and I grew up with that hole in our lives, and I was terrified of becoming him. So instead of dealing with it, I ran. I became exactly what I was afraid of. Maya's eyes glistened. I needed you. I know. I was 21 and pregnant and alone. I know. His voice broke. I'm so sorry, Maya. I can't change what I did, but I want to try to make it right now. If you'll let me. She studied his face for a long moment. Caleb hummed quietly to himself, completely unaware of the weight of the conversation happening above his head. What does making it right look like to you? Maya asked. Getting to know him, being part of his life, showing up, consistently. Whatever you're comfortable with. And if I'm not comfortable with much, then we start small. But I'm not going anywhere this time. I promise. Maya looked like she wanted to believe him, but couldn't quite let herself. Promises are easy to make. I know. So let me prove it instead. Caleb tugged on Maya's sleeve. Mummy, can I ask him something? Ask me what? Ethan said gently. The boy looked at him seriously. Will you come back tomorrow? Ethan glanced at Maya. She bit her lip, thinking, then gave a tiny nod. If your mum says it's okay, Ethan said, then yes. I'll come back tomorrow. Caleb smiled a real bright smile and went back to his puzzle. Maya let out a long breath. 20 minutes, she said quietly. Tomorrow after work. You can meet us here again, in the hospital garden out back. Just 20 minutes. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. She stood up, gathering her and Caleb's trash. And Ethan? Don't make me regret this. I won't. As they walked away, Caleb looked back over his shoulder and waved. Ethan waved back, his chest tight with emotions he couldn't quite name. This was a start. A real start. Now he just had to make sure he didn't mess it up. Ethan arrived at the hospital garden at 5:45 p.m. the next day, 15 minutes early. Again. The garden was small but peaceful, a few benches, some flowering bushes, a stone pathway that curved around a tiny fountain. Hospital staff sat on benches eating snacks or talking on their phones. A couple of elderly patients walked slowly with their families. Ethan sat on an empty bench and waited. At exactly 6 o'clock, Maya appeared through the glass doors with Caleb. The boy spotted Ethan immediately and tugged on his mother's hand, pulling her forward. Hi, Caleb said shyly. Hey, buddy. Ethan smiled. How was school today? Good. We learned about butterflies. Yeah, that sounds cool. Maya stood a few feet back, watching. She'd changed out of her scrubs into jeans and a soft pink sweater. Her hair was down now, falling in natural waves around her shoulders. She looked tired but beautiful. You can sit, Ethan said, gesturing, to the bench beside him. Maya hesitated, then sat down. Caleb immediately climbed up between them. Did you finish your puzzle? Ethan asked. Almost. There's just one piece I can't find. Mommy says it's probably under my bed. Puzzles are tricky like that. Pieces, always hiding. Caleb nodded seriously, like this was very important information. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. A sparrow landed near their feet, pecking at the ground. Caleb watched it with fascination. So, Maya said quietly, 20 minutes. What do you want to talk about? I don't know. Whatever you want. Ethan looked at Caleb. Or whatever he wants. I want to feed the bird, Caleb announced. Maya pulled a granola bar from her purse and broke off a small piece. Caleb hopped down and crouched near the sparrow, holding out the crumb. The bird hopped closer, cautious but curious. He's gentle with animals, Maya said, watching her son. With everything, really. He's the sweetest kid. You did an amazing job. I had help, my mum, some good friends. She glanced at him. But mostly it was just us. Me and him against the world. Guilt twisted in Ethan's chest. I wish I'd been there. Me too. They watched Caleb successfully feed the sparrow, his face lighting up with joy. He turned to them, grinning. Did you see? We saw, Maya called back. Good job, baby. Ethan felt something shift inside him. This wasn't just about making up for the past. This was about being present right now, about being the person Caleb and Maya deserved. "Can I come back tomorrow?" Ethan asked. Maya considered. "We have a better schedule the day after tomorrow. Can you do Thursday?" "Yes, absolutely. Same time, same place. I'll be here." Maya stood up, calling Caleb over. The boy ran back, still excited about the bird. "Say goodbye," Maya prompted. "Bye, Ethan. Bye, Caleb." As they walked away, Maya looked back once. Their eyes met. She didn't smile, but something in her expression had softened, just a little. Thursday came, then Saturday, then Tuesday. Each visit was the same 20 minutes in the garden, simple conversations, Caleb slowly warming up. He started bringing things to show Ethan, a drawing from school, a rock he'd found that looked like a heart, a toy car that made noise when you pushed it. Ethan brought things too. Not expensive gifts, just small, thoughtful items, a book about space, some colorful markers, a bag of gummy bears they could share. Maya watched everything carefully. She never left them alone, always staying within reach, but she seemed less tense with each visit. Sometimes she even joined the conversation. On the 8th visit, 2 weeks after that first meeting in the pharmacy, something changed. It was late afternoon, almost evening. Maya's shift had ended early for once, and they'd all met in the garden as usual. Caleb was showing Ethan how to make a paper airplane. "No, you fold it like this," Caleb said, his small fingers, creasing the paper. "See? Oh, I get it. Let me try." Ethan folded his own airplane, copying Caleb's movements. They threw them together, watching the plane soar across the garden. Maya laughed, actually laughed, when Ethan's plane nosedived into a bush. "That was terrible." She said, "Hey, I'm out of practice." "You were always terrible at paper airplanes." The comment hung in the air. It was the first time she'd referenced their past together in front of Caleb, the first acknowledgement that they'd once been more than strangers. Caleb didn't seem to notice. He was too busy retrieving the airplanes. "You remember that?" Ethan asked softly. "I remember a lot of things." Their eyes held. Something unspoken passed between them, memories, regrets, possibilities. "We should go," Maya said suddenly, standing up. "It's getting late." But as they walked toward the parking lot, Maya's pace slowed. Caleb ran ahead, chasing a butterfly. "You've been showing up," Maya said. "Every time. I wasn't sure you would. I told you I would. People say a lot of things." "I know. But I meant it." They reached Maya's car, an older sedan with a small dent in the bumper. Caleb climbed into his booster seat in the back. Maya unlocked the driver's door, then paused. "Same time Friday?" she asked. "Yeah." Or, Ethan took a breath. "Or maybe we could do something different. Like, go to a park? Somewhere Caleb can actually run around?" Maya's expression shifted. Uncertainty, maybe fear. "I don't know. Just an hour. You pick the place. We stay together the whole time. I just thought he might want more space than this little garden." She looked at Caleb through the car window. He was playing with a toy, content. "I'll think about it," she finally said. "Okay." She got in the car and turned the key. Nothing happened. She tried again. The engine made a weak clicking sound but didn't start. No. Maya hit the steering wheel in frustration. "Come on. What's wrong?" Caleb asked from the back. "Car's not starting, baby. It's okay." Ethan stepped closer. "Pop the hood. Let me look." "You don't have to." "Maya." "Pop the hood." She did. Ethan examined the engine in the fading evening light. He wasn't a mechanic, but he knew basics. The battery looked old. Some of the connections were loose. "When's the last time you got this serviced?" He called over. "I don't know. A while." He tightened a few connections and had Maya try starting it again. Still nothing. "Battery's dead. You'll need a jump or roadside assistance." Maya pulled out her phone, scrolling through contacts. "My mom's at work. Lila's out of town." She looked stressed, embarrassed. "I can give you a jump," Ethan offered. "My car's right there. You don't have to, I know, but I want to. Let me help." She looked like she might argue, but then just nodded. "Thank you." Ethan jogged to his car and pulled it alongside Maya's. While they waited for the cables to work their magic, Caleb asked questions from the back seat. "Why did the car stop working?" "Sometimes cars get tired, just like people," Maya explained. The battery ran out of energy. Like when my tablet dies. Exactly like that. Will it work again? We're going to try. Ethan caught Maya's eye over the hood of the car. She looked vulnerable in a way he hadn't seen since they'd reconnected, like she'd been holding everything together so tightly that this one small setback had cracked her armor. You okay? He asked quietly. Yeah, just tired. It's been a long week. I can imagine. After a few minutes, they tried starting Maya's car again. This time, the engine turned over with a healthy rumble. Caleb cheered from the back seat. There we go, Ethan said, disconnecting the cables. You should get the battery replaced soon, though. This is just temporary. I will. Thank you, Ethan. Really? No problem. Maya started to get in the car, then stopped. That park you mentioned? Maplewood Park. Saturday. Afternoon. 2 o'clock. Ethan's heart jumped. Yeah, but we're taking this slow. You understand? I understand. And if anything makes me uncomfortable, we leave. No questions asked. She nodded, satisfied. Saturday, then. As she drove away, Caleb waving enthusiastically through the back window, Ethan stood in the parking lot feeling like he'd just won something important. Not Maya's forgiveness, not yet. But maybe her trust, or at least the beginning of it. Saturday arrived with perfect weather. Sunny but not too hot, a gentle breeze. The kind of day that made everything feel possible. Ethan got to Maplewood Park at 1:45 p.m. He found Maya and Caleb already there, sitting on a bench near the playground. Caleb wore light-up sneakers and a striped shirt. Maya had on casual clothes, jeans, and a simple white t-shirt and sunglasses pushed up on her head. You're early, Maya said. So are you. Caleb was excited. The boy was indeed bouncing with energy. Can I go on? The swings? Please. Go ahead, baby. Stay where I can see you. Caleb took off running. Maya and Ethan followed at a slower pace, finding a bench near the swing set with a good view of the whole playground. This is nice, Ethan said. Being outside like this. He needed it. We both did. Maya watched Caleb climb onto a swing. He's been asking about you, you know. Between visits. Yeah? Wants to know when you're coming back. What we're going to do next time. She paused. He's getting attached. Is that a bad thing? I don't know yet. She turned to look at him. What happens if you decide this is too hard? If you wake up one day and realize you're not ready for this? That's not going to happen. How can you be sure? Because I've already lived the alternative. I already know what it's like to run away and regret it every single day. I'm not making that mistake again. Maya was quiet, processing. On the swings, Caleb pumped his legs, going higher and higher. His laughter carried across the playground. He has your smile, Maya said softly. Did you notice? I noticed. Sometimes he'll look at me with this expression, and it's like seeing you from 7 years ago. It used to make me angry. Now it just makes me sad. I'm sorry. I know you are, she sighed. I'm trying not to be angry anymore. It's exhausting, being angry. You have every right to be. Maybe, but I don't want to be. For Caleb's sake, if nothing else. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Caleb play. A young couple walked past, pushing a stroller. They glanced at Ethan and Maya, probably assuming they were just another family enjoying the park. What was he like as a baby? Ethan asked. If you don't mind me asking. Maya's expression softened. Quiet. So quiet. He barely cried. My mom said I was lucky, but sometimes it worried me. I'd check on him constantly to make sure he was breathing. She smiled at the memory. He loved being held, would fall asleep on my chest every 20 night. And when he started walking, he was so careful, took tiny steps like he was afraid of falling. Sounds like him now. He hasn't changed much. Still gentle. Still thoughtful. She glanced at Ethan. He's a good kid. You raised him well. I tried my best. Another family arrived at the playground, a mom, a dad, and 2 kids. They set up at a nearby picnic table, unpacking snacks. The dad called out to his children in Spanish, laughing as they ran circles around him. Do you ever wonder how things would have been? Maya asked suddenly. If you hadn't left, if we'd stayed together. Ethan's chest tightened. All the time. What do you imagine? I don't know. Us raising Caleb together, maybe in a small house somewhere. You'd still be nursing. I'd still be doing my job. We'd be exhausted but happy, fighting about whose turn it is to do dishes, taking him to parks like this. He paused. Normal stuff. Family stuff. That's a nice picture. Yeah, but it's not reality. No, it's not. Maya pulled her knees up to her chest, wrapping her arms around them. I used to be so angry at you. For the first year, maybe even 2, I hated you. But then Caleb got older and started asking questions, and I realized I didn't want him to grow up feeling that anger. So I let it go. Or tried to. Have you? Let it go? She thought about it. Mostly. There's still hurt, still fear that you'll disappear again. But the anger's gone. I won't disappear. You keep saying that, because I mean it. Before Maya could respond, another parent approached them, a friendly-looking woman with a toddler on her hip. Excuse me, is that your son on the swings? The one in the striped shirt? Yes, Maya said. He's adorable, and you two make such a beautiful couple. Maya's eyes widened. Oh, we're not. How long have you been married? We're not together, Maya said quickly. We're co-parenting. The woman looked embarrassed. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just assumed. You both were watching him so lovingly, I thought. She backed away. Sorry, my mistake. She hurried off, cheeks red. Maya and Ethan sat in awkward silence. That was, Maya started. Yeah, more silence. We do look like a family, though, Ethan said quietly. From the outside, but we're not. No, we're not. But something in the way Maya said it made Ethan wonder if she wished they were, or if he was just projecting his own wishes onto her. Caleb ran over, breathless and happy. Did you see how high I was going? We saw, Maya said, her awkwardness immediately dissolving into mom mode. You were flying. Can we get ice cream? Maya looked at her watch. They'd been at the park for almost an hour. I don't know, baby. Please. Just one cone? She looked at Ethan. He nodded. There's a stand over by the lake. My treat. Okay, fine. One cone. Caleb cheered. They walked together toward the ice cream stand, Caleb between them, holding both their hands. And for just a moment, Ethan let himself imagine that this was real, that they really were a family, that this could be every Saturday. But then Caleb let go to run ahead, and the moment was broken. By the time they finished their ice cream, chocolate for Caleb, vanilla for Maya, strawberry for Ethan, the afternoon was starting to fade. Families were packing up, heading home for dinner. They walked slowly back toward the parking lot. Caleb was tired now, moving at half his earlier speed. Maya carried his jacket slung over one arm. Thank you for today, she said. Caleb had fun. So did I. I could tell. They reached Maya's car battery, freshly replaced, running smoothly again. She unlocked it and helped Caleb into his booster seat. Ethan, Caleb's small voice called out as Maya buckled him in. Yeah, buddy. Will you come to my house sometime? The question hung in the air. Maya froze, her hands still on the seatbelt buckle. Ethan could see the war happening behind her eyes. I don't know. Sweetheart, Maya said carefully, that's something we'd have to talk about. But why? He's my friend now. I know, baby. But what if he helped me with my puzzle? The one with the missing piece? Maya looked at Ethan helplessly. He gave her a slight nod, letting her make the call. She closed the car door with Caleb inside, then turned to Ethan. This is moving fast, she said quietly. I know. We don't have to. He's asking for you. That's big. I understand if you're not comfortable. Maya chewed her bottom lip, thinking, what if you came over for an hour? Just to see his room, help with the puzzle, then leave? Nothing more? Whatever you're comfortable with. Monday evening? Around 6? Ethan's heart hammered. Yeah, Monday works. I'll text you my address. Okay. She opened her car door again, pausing before getting in. Ethan? Don't make me regret this. I won't. As they drove away, Ethan stood in the parking lot, feeling the weight of what had just happened. Maya was letting him into her home, into the space she and Caleb had built together over 6 years. That was trust. Real, tangible trust. He couldn't mess this up. Monday evening, Ethan arrived at Maya's apartment building at 5:55 p.m. He'd spent 20 minutes in the car debating whether to bring something: flowers, a bottle of wine, nothing, and had finally settled on a box of good tea he'd seen Maya drink at the hospital. Her apartment was on the second floor, number 214. He knocked gently. Caleb answered the door, grinning. "You came." "Of course I did. Hi, buddy." Maya appeared behind him, drying her hands on a dish towel. "Come in." The apartment was small but cozy, a worn couch covered with a soft blanket, bookshelves filled with paperbacks and children's books, Caleb's artwork taped to the walls. Everything was clean but lived in, the kind of home that felt warm and safe. "I brought this," Ethan said, holding out the tea. "I noticed you drink it at work." Maya took it, surprised. "You pay attention?" "Yeah. Thank you." She set it on the kitchen counter. "Caleb, show Ethan your room." The boy grabbed Ethan's hand and pulled him down a short hallway. His room was exactly what you'd expect for a 6-year-old toys, organized in bins, a small bed with space-themed sheets, glow in the dark stars on the ceiling. "Here's my puzzle." Caleb pulled out the dinosaur puzzle from under his bed. "We never found that last piece." They sat on the floor together, spreading out the pieces. Maya appeared in the doorway, watching. "You don't have to hover," Ethan said gently. "I'm not going anywhere." "I know. I just—" She trailed off. "I'm working on it." She left them alone, going back to the kitchen where Ethan could hear her making dinner. The smell of something delicious, chicken, maybe, drifted down the hall. Ethan and Caleb worked on the puzzle together. It was almost complete, except for that one missing piece. They looked under the bed, behind the toy box, in the closet. "Found it." Ethan pulled the piece from between two books on the shelf. "You found it." Caleb bounced excitedly. "Put it in. Put it in." Ethan handed him the piece. "You should do it. You've been working on this puzzle for weeks." Caleb carefully placed the final piece, completing the picture, a T-Rex roaring triumphantly. He beamed with pride. "Mommy, we finished it." Maya came to the doorway. "Look at that. Good job, baby. Ethan found the missing piece. Did he now?" She smiled at Ethan, something warm in her expression. A timer went off in the kitchen. Maya glanced back. "Dinner's almost ready. Ethan, would you like to stay?" The invitation surprised both of them. "I don't want to impose," Ethan said. "You're not. I made plenty. And honestly, Caleb will probably ask anyway. Can he stay, please?" Caleb looked up at his mother with those big, hopeful eyes. Maya smiled. "That's what I thought. Come on, let's eat." Dinner was simple baked chicken, rice, steamed vegetables, and a salad. They ate at a small table that barely fit 3 people. Caleb talked non-stop about school, about his friends, about a field trip coming up to the Science Museum. Maya listened with patient attention, occasionally correcting his table manners. Ethan mostly observed, soaking in the normalcy of it all. This was their routine, their life, and for one evening, he got to be part of it. After dinner, Caleb wanted to show Ethan his drawings, every single one. Maya cleaned up, refusing Ethan's help, so he sat on the couch while Caleb narrated his artwork. "This one is a spaceship, and this one is a dragon, and this one is Mommy." The drawing of Maya showed her with a huge smile and what looked like a cape. "Why does your mom have a cape?" Ethan asked. "Because she's a superhero. She makes people feel better at the hospital." Ethan glanced at Maya in the kitchen. She'd heard, and her cheeks were pink. "You're right," Ethan said, quietly. "She is a superhero." By 7:30, Caleb was starting to fade. His eyelids drooped as he showed Ethan his favorite book. Maya came over and scooped him up. "Bedtime, buddy." "But I'm not tired," Caleb protested through a yawn. "Uh-huh. Come on." She looked at Ethan. "I'll be right back." Ethan sat on the couch, listening to the sounds of Maya getting Caleb ready for bed. Water running, teeth being brushed, a story being read in Maya's soft, patient voice. He stood and walked to the window, looking out at the quiet street below. Streetlights flickered on in the growing darkness. A cat prowled along a fence. Somewhere nearby, someone was playing music. "He fell asleep halfway through the story," Maya said, returning. "That's how I know he had a good day. When he crashes hard. Thank you for letting me stay. Thank you for coming." She sat on the couch, patting the spot beside her. Ethan sat down, keeping a respectful distance between them. "Your home is really nice," he said. "It's small. It's perfect. It feels like a home." Maya smiled, tucking her feet under her. "We've made it work. Me and him. He's lucky to have you." I'm lucky to have him. She paused. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why now? Why are you really doing this? Is it guilt? Ethan thought about it carefully. At first, maybe. But now. He looked toward the hallway where Caleb slept. Now it's because I want to know him. Because he's an amazing kid, and I want to be part of his life. And, he hesitated, and because being here, with both of you, feels right. Like this is where I'm supposed to be. Maya's eyes glistened. Don't say things like that. Why not? Because I'm trying to protect myself. I'm trying not to hope for things that might not happen. What if they could happen? She looked at him, really looked at him. I don't know if I can trust that. Trust you. Not yet. That's fair. They sat in silence. Not uncomfortable, just present. Outside, the world kept moving, but inside this small apartment, time felt suspended. Finally, Maya spoke. You should probably go. Caleb has school tomorrow, and I have an early shift. Right. Of course. Ethan stood. Thank you again. For tonight. It meant a lot. Same time on Wednesday? The hospital garden? I'll be there. Maya walked him to the door. As he stepped into the hallway, she called his name. Yeah? He really likes you. Caleb. He talks about you constantly. I really like him too. I know. She leaned against the doorframe. That's what scares me. Ethan wanted to say something reassuring, something that would take away her fear, but he knew that words weren't enough. Only time and consistency would prove his intentions. Good night, Maya. Good night, Ethan. The door closed softly. As Ethan walked back to his car, he felt something shift inside him. This wasn't just about making up for past mistakes anymore. This was about building something new, something real. He just hoped Maya would eventually believe that too. The next 2 weeks fell into a comfortable rhythm. Ethan showed up every Wednesday and Saturday. Sometimes they met at the hospital garden, sometimes at the park. Once, they went to a small diner where Caleb demolished a stack of pancakes while Maya and Ethan talked about everything and nothing. Caleb was opening up more. He told Ethan about his favorite cartoons, his best friend at school, his fear of thunderstorms. Maya watched these conversations with a mix of emotions Ethan couldn't quite read. Sometimes she seemed happy, sometimes worried, sometimes both at once. On a Thursday evening, 3 weeks after that first dinner, Maya invited Ethan over again. Spaghetti, this time, with garlic bread. Caleb helped set the table, carefully placing napkins at each spot. I'm doing good, right, Mommy? Caleb asked. You're doing great, baby. They ate together like they'd done this 100 times before. Caleb told them about a science experiment at school involving baking soda and vinegar. Ethan shared a funny story about his co-worker accidentally sending an email to the entire company. Maya laughed, really laughed, and the sound filled Ethan with warmth. After dinner, Maya shooed them toward the living room. Go watch a movie. I'll clean up. I can help. Ethan offered. You're a guest. Go. Caleb grabbed Ethan's hand and pulled him to the couch. He picked an animated movie about talking animals, something Ethan had never seen but immediately got invested in. Halfway through, Caleb climbed onto the couch next to Ethan, then gradually leaned against him. By the time the movie's climax hit, Caleb was fully asleep, his head resting on Ethan's chest, one small hand curled against Ethan's shirt. Ethan sat perfectly still, afraid to move and wake him. This small, warm weight against him felt impossibly precious. This was his son, his child. The reality of it crashed over him in waves. Maya emerged from the kitchen, drying her hands on a towel. She stopped when she saw them. Her expression softened into something tender and vulnerable. He fell asleep, Ethan whispered. I see that. She sat down in the chair across from them, just watching. He's comfortable with you. Is that okay? Yeah. It's more than okay. Her voice was thick with emotion. It's everything I hoped for when I decided to let you back in. I wanted him to have this. They sat in silence for a while, the movie playing quietly in the background. Caleb's breathing was slow and steady. Outside, the evening had fully settled in, dark and peaceful. Maya's phone buzzed on the coffee table. She glanced at it, then stood. I need to take this work thing. Be right back. She stepped into the kitchen, answering the call. Hey, Lila, what's up? Ethan couldn't help but overhear. The apartment was small, Voices carried. But then his own phone rang. Jordan's name flashed on the screen. Ethan carefully shifted Caleb's weight and answered quietly. "Hey, can't really talk right now. Quick question, did you decide about Thanksgiving? Mom wants to know if you're bringing anyone." "I don't know. Maybe. I'm at Maya's right now, actually." "How's that going?" Ethan glanced at Caleb sleeping on his chest. "Good. Really good. But also terrifying." "Terrifying how?" I'm scared I'll mess him up, you know? Like, what if I'm not good at this? What if I do something wrong and hurt him?" "Everyone feels like that, man. That's normal." "Yeah, but what if it's not just normal worry? What if I'm actually not cut out for this?" "You're doing fine. Stop overthinking it." They talked for another minute about Thanksgiving plans, then Jordan had to go. Ethan hung up and carefully set his phone down, adjusting Caleb's position so the boy would be more comfortable. He didn't see Maya standing in the kitchen doorway. Didn't see the way her expression had changed. Didn't see her quietly walk back into the kitchen, her earlier warmth replaced by something colder. When she returned a few minutes later, her face was carefully neutral. "I should get him to bed," she said, her voice flat. "Oh, sure." Ethan gently shook Caleb. "Hey, buddy, time for bed." Caleb stirred, blinking sleepily. "The movie. It's over," Maya said, lifting him. "Come on, sweetheart." She carried him down the hall. Ethan stood awkwardly in the living room, sensing something had shifted but not understanding what. When Maya returned, she didn't sit down. "It's getting late," she said. "You should probably head home. Is everything okay?" "Yeah, fine. Just tired." But her eyes told a different story. Something had closed off. The warmth from earlier was gone, replaced by walls he thought they'd been breaking down. "Maya, if I did something, you didn't. I'm just tired. Long shift tomorrow." Ethan wanted to push, but he could see she wasn't ready to talk. "Okay. I'll see you Saturday? Maybe. I'll text you." That had never been uncertain. Before, they'd had standing plans. But now. "Good night," Maya said, already moving toward the door. "Good night." Ethan, left feeling like he'd lost ground somehow, but he had no idea how or why. The next evening, Maya finished her shift and headed straight home. Her mother was already there, having picked up Caleb from after-school care. Renee was helping him with homework at the kitchen table. "Hey, baby," Renee said, looking up. "Rough day?" "Just long." Maya set down her purse and kissed the top of Caleb's head. "How was school?" "Good. We learned about fractions." "That's great, sweetheart." Renee studied her daughter's face. "Something's bothering you." "It's nothing." "Mm-hmm." Renee turned to Caleb. "Baby, why don't you go play in your room for a bit? Give me and your mama some grown-up time." "Okay, Grandma." Once Caleb was gone, Renee gestured to the chair across from her. "Sit. Talk." Maya sat, exhaustion washing over her. "It's Ethan. What did he do?" "Nothing. Maybe. I don't know." Maya pressed her palms against her eyes. "Last night he was here for dinner. Everything was perfect. Caleb fell asleep on him and it was so sweet, and I was thinking maybe this could actually work. Maybe we could be. Be what? I don't know. A family. Something." Maya dropped her hands. "Then I overheard him on the phone with his brother. He said he was scared he'd mess Caleb up, that he wasn't cut out for this." Renee was quiet for a moment. "And what's wrong with that? What do you mean?" "Baby, he's scared. That's normal. Doesn't mean he's going to leave. But what if it does?" Maya's voice cracked. "What if he realizes this is too hard and walks away again? What if Caleb gets even more attached and then loses him? You can't protect Caleb from everything." "I can try." Renee reached across the table and took Maya's hand. "Listen to me. I know I've been cautious about this whole thing. I know I warned you to be careful, and I still think you should be. But baby, that man has shown up every single time. He's been consistent. He's trying. That doesn't mean he'll keep trying. No. But it doesn't mean he'll quit either." Renee squeezed her daughter's hand. "You're looking for reasons to push him away because you're scared too. I understand that. But don't sabotage something good just because you're afraid it might end badly." Maya pulled her hand back. "You don't understand. You didn't hear how he sounded. Worried? Uncertain? Like any new parent? Like someone who's not sure they want to be there? Or like someone who cares so much they're afraid of doing it wrong?" Renee stood up. Think about it, Maya. Really think about what you heard, not what your fear is telling you you heard. After her mother left, Maya sat at the kitchen table alone. Caleb was singing in his room, some song from school. The apartment felt both too quiet and too loud. Her phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. "Hey, just checking in. Hope you're having a good evening." Maya stared at the message. She should respond, should say something, but her fingers hovered over the keyboard, unable to form words. She set the phone down without replying. Saturday morning, Ethan texted Maya about their usual park plans. 2 hours passed with no response. He tried not to panic. Maybe she was busy. Maybe she'd forgotten to charge her phone. At noon, she finally replied, "Can't make it today. Sorry. Work thing came up." Ethan stared at the message. It felt wrong, distant. But he replied, "No problem. Tomorrow? I'll let you know." That afternoon, Ethan was at his desk working when his boss called him into her office. "We have a situation with the Morrison account," she said. "The client just called. They're threatening to pull out if we don't get them a revised proposal by Monday morning. That's 48 hours. I know. I'm sorry. But we need all hands on deck, starting tonight." Ethan's stomach sank. "I have plans tonight. Can you reschedule?" He thought about Maya, about how she'd been distant since Thursday, about how missing their plans would only make things worse. But he also thought about his job, about needing to be stable and reliable if he wanted to be part of Caleb's life, about the bills that needed paying and the future he was trying to build. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I can reschedule." He texted Maya immediately. "Emergency at work. Have to cancel tonight. I'm so sorry. Can we do tomorrow instead?" Maya read the message, stared at it, and felt every fear she'd been carrying confirm itself in that one sentence. He was pulling away. She'd known it would happen eventually, known it was too good to be true, known that Ethan would find an excuse, then another, until eventually he just stopped showing up altogether. "Whatever," she typed back, then deleted it, then typed, "Fine, we'll talk later." But they both knew what later meant. That evening, Maya picked at her dinner while Caleb ate enthusiastically. "Is Ethan coming over?" he asked. "Not tonight, baby. Tomorrow? I don't know. Why not? He's busy with work." Caleb's face fell. "But he promised we'd build that fort." Maya's heart squeezed. "I know, sweetheart, but sometimes grown-ups have to work. When will I see him again?" "I don't know." The uncertainty in her own voice scared her, because the truth was, she didn't know if she'd let Caleb see Ethan again. Didn't know if she could keep putting her son through this emotional roller coaster. That night, after Caleb was asleep, Maya sat on her couch in the dark. Her phone sat on the coffee table, screen dark. No more messages from Ethan. He was probably working. Or maybe he was relieved to have an excuse to stay away. She picked up her phone and scrolled through her photos. There were dozens of recent pictures, Caleb and Ethan at the park, Caleb showing Ethan his drawings, the two of them laughing over ice cream cones. Caleb looked so happy in every single one. And that's what made this so hard, because it wasn't just about her anymore. It wasn't just her heart at risk. It was Caleb's. Sunday morning, Ethan woke up after 3 hours of sleep. He'd worked until 4 a.m. getting the proposal together. His eyes burned, his head pounded. But the work was done. He checked his phone. No messages from Maya. He typed out several texts and deleted them all. Finally settled on, "Proposal finished. Can I see you and Caleb today? I really miss you both." Hours passed. No response. By evening, Ethan couldn't take it anymore. He drove to Maya's apartment building and knocked on her door. Maya answered, looking tired. Behind her, Caleb was watching TV. "Can we talk?" Ethan asked. Maya glanced back at Caleb, then stepped into the hallway, pulling the door mostly closed behind her. "What's going on?" Ethan asked. "You've been distant since Thursday. Did I do something?" "You missed last night. I told you, work emergency. I had no choice." "There's always a choice, Ethan. That's not fair. I'm trying to be responsible. I need this job to provide for." "For what? You're not providing anything. Caleb and I were fine before you showed up." "We'll be fine if you leave." The words hit him like a punch. "Is that what you want? For me to leave?" Maya's eyes welled up. "I want to protect my son." "From me?" "From getting hurt when you realize this is too much and walk away." "I'm not going to walk away." You did before. I was 23 and stupid. I'm not that person anymore. How do I know that? Her voice broke. How do I know you won't wake up one day and decide this is too hard? That we're too much work? Ethan stared at her, understanding dawning. This isn't about last night, is it? Something else happened. Maya wrapped her arms around herself. I heard you on the phone Thursday, talking to Jordan. You said you were scared you'd mess Caleb up. That you weren't cut out for this. Maya, that's not what I meant. Then, what did you mean? I meant, I'm terrified of not being good enough. I meant, I care so much that the thought of doing something wrong keeps me up at night. I meant, his voice cracked, I meant, I love him. And I'm scared because I've never felt anything this important before. Tears streamed down Maya's face. I can't do this. I can't let Caleb get more attached if you're uncertain. It's not fair to him. I'm not uncertain about him. I'm uncertain about me. That's the same thing. No, it's not. Ethan stepped closer. Maya, please, don't shut me out. Not when we were finally making progress. She shook her head. I need space. Caleb needs space. For his emotional safety. For how long? I don't know. The door opened slightly. Caleb peeked out. Mummy? Is Ethan leaving? Maya quickly wiped her eyes. Yes, baby. Go back inside. But I wanted to show him my new drawing. Not tonight. When? Maya looked at Ethan, her expression breaking his heart. I don't know. She ushered Caleb inside and closed the door, leaving Ethan alone in the hallway. He stood there for a long moment, feeling everything he'd built over the past month crumbling around him. Then he walked back to his car and sat in the driver's seat, head in his hands. He'd finally found what he'd been missing, his son, his family, a chance to make things right. And now he was losing it all over again. Monday morning, Ethan showed up at Jordan's apartment before work. His brother answered in sweatpants and a ratty t-shirt, holding a cup of coffee. You look terrible. Jordan said, Thanks. Come in. Ethan collapsed on Jordan's couch while his brother made breakfast, scrambled eggs and toast. Simple but comforting. Maya asked for space, Ethan said to the ceiling. Why? She overheard me on the phone Thursday. When I said I was scared about messing up Caleb, she thought I was having doubts. Jordan flipped the eggs. And are you? No, I'm scared because I care, not because I don't. Did you tell her that? I tried. She didn't want to hear it. She's convinced I'm going to leave again. Ethan sat up. And I don't know how to prove I'm not that person anymore. Jordan brought over 2 plates and sat down. You show up. Consistently. Even when she's pushing you away. She said she needs space. Then give her a few days, but don't disappear. Send a text. Leave a note. Something that shows you're still there, still thinking about them. Jordan took a bite of toast. You either show up or disappear. Those are your options. Choose. I'm choosing to show up. Then do it. But also, man, you need to communicate better. If you're feeling scared or overwhelmed, tell her. Don't wait for her to overhear something and misinterpret it. Ethan nodded slowly. His brother was right. He'd been so focused on proving himself through actions that he'd forgotten words mattered too. What should I do? Write her a letter. Tell her everything. No holding back. Then give her the space she asked for, but make sure she knows you're not going anywhere. That night, Ethan sat at his kitchen table with a pen and paper. He wrote and rewrote, crossed out and started over. Finally, after a dozen attempts, he had something that felt true. Maya, I'm not good with words, but I need to say this right. I need you to understand. When you overheard me on the phone, I wasn't saying I didn't want this. I was saying I care so much that the thought of doing it wrong terrifies me. Being a father, being in Caleb's life, is the most important thing I've ever done. And that scares me because I know how badly I messed up before. I was 23 when we broke up. I was scared and immature and I ran. That was the worst mistake of my life. I don't expect you to forget that. I don't even expect you to fully forgive it. But I need you to know that I'm not that person anymore. These past weeks with you and Caleb have been the best of my life. Getting to know my son, seeing the amazing person you've raised him to be, rebuilding something with you, it's everything I didn't know I was missing. I'm not asking to jump back into a relationship. I'm not asking you to trust me completely. I'm just asking for a chance to keep showing up, for Caleb, and for you. I love him, Maya. I know I haven't earned the right to say that, but it's true. And I think he's starting to love me too. Please don't take that away from him because you're afraid I'll hurt him. I won't be perfect. I'll make mistakes, but I won't leave. Not this time. Not ever. I'll give you the space you asked for. But I'm here when you're ready to talk. Ethan, Tuesday morning before work. Ethan drove to Maya's apartment and slipped the letter into her mailbox. Then he went home and waited. Maya found the letter during her lunch break. She'd come home to grab something she'd forgotten and saw the envelope. She almost threw it away without reading it. But Caleb had been asking about Ethan all morning. When is he coming back? Why doesn't he visit anymore? Did I do something wrong? That last question had broken her heart. Because Caleb thought he was the problem, thought he'd somehow driven Ethan away. Maya opened the letter. By the second paragraph, tears were sliding down her cheeks. By the end, she was full-on crying, her hands shaking as she held the paper. She'd been wrong. Not completely, her fears were valid, but she'd misunderstood what Ethan had said, had let her own terror convince her he was pulling away, when really he was just scared of letting them down. She thought about Ethan showing up every single time for a month, bringing small gifts, listening to Caleb's stories, fixing her car, staying for dinner, falling asleep with their son on his chest. Those weren't the actions of someone who was uncertain. Those were the actions of someone who cared deeply and was trying his best. Caleb appeared in the doorway, holding his lunchbox. "Mummy, why are you crying?" Maya wiped her eyes and held out her arms. Caleb came over and climbed into her lap, even though he was getting too big for it. "I made a mistake," Maya said quietly. "What kind of mistake?" "I thought someone was going to leave us, but I was wrong. Was it Ethan?" "Yeah, baby. Is he coming back?" Maya looked at the letter, then at her son's hopeful face. "I don't know, but I think I need to talk to him. Can we talk to him today?" "Not today, but soon, I promise." That evening, after her shift ended and Caleb was with her mother, Maya pulled out her phone. Her fingers trembled as she typed. "Can we talk?" "Tomorrow afternoon, Maplewood Park. 2 p.m. Ethan's response came within seconds. "I'll be there." Ethan arrived at Maplewood Park at 1:45 p.m. Again. He couldn't help himself. The afternoon was warm but cloudy, the kind of day where the sun played hide-and-seek behind grey clouds. A few families scattered across the playground. Dogs barked in the distance. Everything felt normal except for the hammering of Ethan's heart. At exactly 2 o'clock, Maya appeared, alone. "No, Caleb." Ethan stood as she approached. She looked nervous, her hands tucked into the pockets of her cardigan. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi." They sat on the same bench where that awkward couple had mistaken them for a family weeks ago. Maya stared at her hands for a long moment before speaking. "I got your letter. I meant every word." "I know." She finally looked at him, her brown eyes red-rimmed like she'd been crying. "I'm sorry. For shutting you out. For not letting you explain. You don't have to apologize." "Yes, I do." She took a shaky breath. "I was so scared, Ethan. I'm still scared, but I let that fear make me hear things you didn't say. I let it convince me you were leaving before you even thought about it. I wasn't leaving. I'm not leaving. I know that now, or I'm trying to believe it." She pulled his letter from her pocket, the paper creased from being folded and unfolded multiple times. "I've read this about 20 times since yesterday. And you're right, about all of it. You have been showing up, you have been trying, and I've been waiting for you to fail instead of believing you could succeed." A child's laughter rang out from the playground. They both glanced over automatically, but it wasn't Caleb. "Where is he?" Ethan asked. "Caleb? With my mom. I wanted to talk to you first. Just us." Maya twisted the letter in her hands. "He's been asking about you constantly. When is Ethan coming back? Why doesn't he visit anymore? Did I do something wrong?" Her voice cracked on the last question. Ethan's chest tightened. "He thinks he did something wrong? Kids always do. They think everything is their fault." She wiped her eyes. "That's when I realized I was hurting him more by keeping you away than I ever would by letting you stay. Even if I'm scared. Even if there's risk. There's always risk in loving people." "I know." She looked at him directly. "That's what my mom said too. And she's been the cautious one this whole time, so when she told me to give you another chance, I knew I needed to listen. They sat in silence for a moment. A breeze rustled the leaves above them. Somewhere an ice cream truck played its tinny music. I need to be better at communicating, Ethan said. Jordan pointed that out. I was so focused on proving myself through actions that I forgot you needed to hear what I was thinking and feeling too. We both need to be better at that. Maya shifted slightly toward him. I should have asked you about the phone call instead of assuming the worst. Should have given you a chance to explain. Can we start over? Not all the way back to the beginning, but from right now. I don't want to start over, Maya said quietly. I want to keep going forward. But honestly, this time, both of us. Honestly, Ethan agreed. Maya reached out slowly, her hand hovering in the space between them. Ethan took it, their fingers intertwining naturally, like they'd done this 1,000 times before. I'm terrified, Maya whispered, of getting hurt, of Caleb getting hurt, of building something beautiful and watching it fall apart. I'm terrified too, Ethan admitted, of not being good enough, of messing up, of letting you both down. He squeezed her hand. But I'd rather be terrified and try than safe and alone. Maya's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. When did you get so wise? I had a good teacher, my little brother who's apparently smarter than I am. She laughed, and the sound loosened something in Ethan's chest. This was going to be okay. They were going to be okay. So what now? Maya asked. Now we do this right, slow and steady. We talk when things are hard instead of pulling away. We build something real. Together. For Caleb. For Caleb. Ethan agreed. And for us. Maya studied his face. Us? If that's something you want. Eventually. No pressure. I'm not trying to rush anything. I don't know what I want yet, Maya said, honestly. Except I know I don't want to be afraid anymore. I'm tired of being afraid. Ethan brought her hand to his lips and kissed it gently. Then let's not be afraid. Let's just be present. They sat like that for a while, holding hands on a park bench while the world moved around them. And for the first time in weeks, Maya felt herself relax, really relax. Because Ethan was here. He'd shown up. He'd written that letter. He'd meant every word. Can I see Caleb? Ethan asked. Soon. How about tomorrow? Come for dinner again. We'll tell him together that you're not going anywhere. I'd like that. And Ethan? No more missing pieces. No more secrets or misunderstandings. We talk about everything from now on. Deal? Deal. The next evening, Ethan knocked on Maya's apartment door at exactly 6 o'clock. His hands were sweaty, his heart raced. But this time it wasn't fear, it was anticipation. Caleb opened the door, and his entire face lit up. Ethan, you're back. Hey, buddy. I missed you. Before Ethan could say anything else, Caleb wrapped his arms around Ethan's waist in a tight hug. Ethan froze for half a second, then slowly hugged him back, one hand resting on the boy's blonde curls. Maya appeared behind Caleb, smiling. Come in. Dinner was chicken tacos, Caleb's favorite. They ate at the small table with Caleb chattering non-stop, filling Ethan in on everything he'd missed over the past few days. A new book from the library, a drawing he'd made in art class, how his friend Marcus had fallen asleep during story time. After dinner, they sat together in the living room. Maya on one end of the couch, Ethan on the other, Caleb in the middle. Buddy, we need to talk to you about something, Maya said gently. Caleb's expression turned serious. Am I in trouble? No, baby, not at all. She glanced at Ethan, who nodded encouragingly. You know how you've been asking about Ethan? About why he wasn't coming around? Yeah. That was my fault, Maya said. I got scared and made a mistake. But Ethan's back now, and he's not leaving again. Promise? Caleb looked at Ethan with those wide, trusting eyes. I promise, Ethan said firmly. I'm going to be around as much as your mom is comfortable with, for as long as you want me here. Forever? Ethan's throat tightened. If that's what you want, then yes, forever. Caleb thought about this for a moment, his young mind processing. Then he asked the question Maya had been dreading. Are you my dad? The room went silent. Maya's eyes widened. Ethan felt time stop. Why do you ask that? Maya said carefully. Because you look at each other like parents do. And Ethan looks like me. And at school, Tommy said only dads come to visit that much. Maya and Ethan exchanged a long look. They'd talked about this conversation yesterday at the park, about being honest with Caleb when the time came. They just hadn't expected it to be tonight. "Yes," Ethan said softly. "I am your dad." Caleb's eyes went huge. "Really? Really? But where were you before? Why didn't I know?" Maya pulled Caleb close. "That's complicated, sweetheart. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. Ethan didn't know about you when you were born, and by the time I could tell him, we'd lost touch with each other. But he knows now?" "Yes, he knows now. And he wants to be my dad. More than anything," Ethan said, his voice thick with emotion. Caleb was quiet for a long moment. Then he climbed off the couch and walked to his room. Maya started to follow, but Ethan gently stopped her. "Give him a minute. That's a lot to process." They waited, tension filling the silence. What if Caleb was upset? What if this was too much, too fast? After what felt like forever, Caleb returned. He was holding a drawing one Ethan had never seen before. It showed 3 stick figures, a woman, a man, and a small boy in the middle. They were holding hands. Above them, in careful letters, Caleb had written, "My family." "I drew this 2 weeks ago," Caleb said quietly. "I didn't show anyone because I thought maybe it was pretend. But it's real now?" Ethan had to swallow hard past the lump in his throat. "It's real." Caleb climbed back onto the couch, but this time he positioned himself on Ethan's lap. "Good. I always wanted a dad." Maya was crying silently, one hand pressed to her mouth. Ethan wrapped his arms around Caleb and held him close, breathing in the smell of his son's shampoo, feeling the solid weight of him. This was real. This was his family. Over the next week, everything shifted into a new rhythm. Ethan came over 3 times, each visit feeling more natural than the last. He helped Caleb with his homework, taught him how to ride his bike without training wheels, read bedtime stories in funny voices that made Caleb giggle. Maya watched it all, her walls coming down piece by piece. She saw how patient Ethan was when Caleb struggled with math, how he didn't get frustrated when Caleb fell off the bike 6 times, how he remembered that Caleb liked his sandwiches cut into triangles, not squares. These small things mattered. These were the things that built trust. On Saturday morning, Ethan showed up with a nervous energy Maya recognized. "What's up?" she asked as Caleb played in his room. "Jordan's having a cookout tomorrow. Just family and close friends. He wants to meet you and Caleb. Officially." Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. "I know it's fast, but I've been telling him about you both, and he really wants to, meet you and wait, okay?" Maya smiled. "Yeah, I think it's time. Caleb should know his uncle, and I'd like to meet your family too." "Really?" "Really. But Ethan, I'm nervous." "Me too. What if they don't like me?" "They'll love you." He took her hands. "Jordan already knows how amazing you are from everything I've told him. And my mom, well, she's complicated, but she'll come around." "Your mom's coming?" Jordan invited her. "I don't know if she'll show." Ethan's expression darkened slightly. "We're not close. After my dad left, she kind of checked out emotionally. Jordan and I practically raised ourselves. I'm sorry. It's old history, but it means I don't really know how to do the family thing. I'm kind of making it up as I go." Maya squeezed his hands. "Then we'll figure it out together." Sunday afternoon, Maya stood in front of her closet, trying on her 4th outfit. Nothing felt right. Too casual, too dressy, too trying hard. "Mummy, you look pretty in everything," Caleb said from her bed, where he was playing with toy cars. "Thanks, baby." She finally settled on jeans and a nice blouse, something that said, "I'm not trying too hard, but I care enough to look nice." Caleb wore his favorite shirt with dinosaurs on it. They arrived at Jordan's house at 2 o'clock. It was a small place with a decent backyard. Smoke rose from a grill, music played from a speaker. A handful of people milled around talking and laughing. Ethan met them at the gate, smiling. "You made it." "We made it," Maya confirmed, though her stomach was doing flips. "Caleb, you ready to meet your uncle?" "I have an uncle?" "You do, and he's excited to meet you." Jordan appeared almost immediately, as if he'd been watching for them. He was younger than Ethan, but taller, with an easy smile and kind eyes. "You must be Maya," he said, extending his hand. "I've heard so much about you. Good things, I hope." The best things. He crouched down to Caleb's level. And you must be Caleb. I'm Jordan. I'm your dad's little brother, which makes me your uncle. Caleb looked at Ethan for confirmation. Ethan nodded. Do you like dinosaurs? Caleb asked seriously. Love them, especially T-Rexes. You? They're my favorite. Then we're going to get along great. Come on, I'll show you the yard. We've got a volleyball net and everything. Caleb took Jordan's hand without hesitation, and they walked off together. Maya watched them go, a mix of emotions swirling in her chest. He's good with kids, Ethan said. I can see that. Come on, let me introduce you to everyone else. There were about 10 people total. A couple of Jordan's friends from work, a neighbor, an older woman who turned out to be Jordan's girlfriend. Everyone was friendly and welcoming, asking Maya about her work at the hospital, complimenting Caleb. But one person was notably absent until nearly 3 o'clock. Ethan's mother. When she finally arrived, Maya recognized her immediately from photos she'd seen years ago. She was in her early 50s, well-dressed, with the same eyes as her son's. But there was a hardness to her expression, a distance. Mom, Ethan said, greeting her stiffly. You made it, Jordan insisted. She glanced at Maya, then at Caleb playing in the yard. So this is her. This is Maya, Ethan said pointedly. Maya, this is my mother, Catherine. Nice to meet you, Maya said, extending her hand. Catherine shook it briefly. Jordan tells me you have a son. Yes, Caleb. He's 6. And Ethan is the father? The bluntness of the question made Maya flinch, but she held her ground. Yes. Catherine's expression was unreadable. I see. An awkward silence fell. Then Maya's phone rang. She glanced at it, her mother calling. Excuse me, she said, stepping away. Hey, Mom. Hey, baby. Just checking in. How's it going? Okay, I think. Met Ethan's brother, he's wonderful, but his mother just showed up and she's intense. You want me to come? Maya glanced back at the cookout. Ethan was talking with his mother, his body language tense. Jordan was still playing with Caleb, making sure he felt included. Actually, yeah, if you're free, I could use the support. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Text me the address. When Maya returned, Ethan immediately came to her side. Sorry about that. My mom can be difficult. It's okay, I invited my mom. Hope that's all right. Of course, I'd love to meet her. 20 minutes later, Renee Brooks arrived wearing a bright yellow sundress and carrying a homemade pie. She took in the scene with practiced ease, immediately spotting her daughter and grandson. There's my favorite boy, she called out. Grandma! Caleb ran over for a hug. Renee hugged him tight, then turned to Maya. You good? I'm good. Which one's Ethan? Maya pointed. Ethan was walking over, looking nervous. Mrs. Brooks, he said, extending his hand. I'm Ethan. It's an honor to finally meet you. Renee studied him for a long moment. Ethan held her gaze, not backing down but respectful. You hurt my daughter once, Renee said quietly, so only they could hear. I won't let you do it again. No, ma'am, I won't. Good. Her expression softened slightly. Maya says you've been showing up. Keep doing that. I will. All right then, Renee's smile returned. I brought pie. Where should I put it? As the afternoon wore on, something shifted. Caleb was the center of attention, charming everyone with his questions and observations. Jordan kept making him laugh. Renee engaged easily with the other guests, her warmth infectious. Even Catherine softened slightly when Caleb, unprompted, brought her a flower he'd picked from the garden. For you, he said shyly. Catherine looked at the slightly crushed dandelion, then at her grandson's hopeful face. Something in her expression cracked. Thank you, she said quietly. That's very sweet. Maya watched from across the yard, standing beside Ethan. His arm was around her shoulders, natural, comfortable, like they'd been doing this for years. Your son is something special, Jordan said, joining them. He really is, Maya agreed. Takes after his mum. Maya felt herself blush. And his dad, Ethan, pulled her closer. They stood like that, watching Caleb play, surrounded by family and friends, and the smell of grilling hamburgers and the sound of laughter. This was what Maya had been afraid of. This closeness, this vulnerability, this hope. But Standing here now, she realized something. The fear wasn't gone. It probably never would be completely, but it was worth it. This feeling, this moment, this family they were building, it was worth the risk. "Hey," Ethan said softly, pulling her attention back to him. "Yeah? Thank you. For what? For giving me another chance. For letting me into Caleb's life. For being brave enough to try. You're doing the work too," Maya reminded him. "We both are." She leaned her head against his shoulder. "Yeah, we both are." As the sun started to set, Jordan turned on string lights in the backyard. Caleb was teaching Catherine and Renee how to play some game he'd invented, involving a ball and complicated rules only he understood. The older women played along, smiling despite their confusion. "My mom looks happy," Ethan observed. "So does mine. Think they'll get along?" "I think they already are." Later, as people started to leave, Jordan pulled Ethan aside for a private word, while Maya helped pack up leftover food. "You did good, man," Jordan said. "Maya's great. Caleb's amazing. Don't mess this up. I'm trying not to. I'm serious. You've got something real here. Something most people spend their whole lives looking for." "I know." "Good." Jordan clapped him on the shoulder. "Also, Mom pulled me aside earlier. She wants to take Caleb to the zoo next weekend, get to know him better." Ethan's eyebrows shot up. "Really? Really?" I think meeting him softened something in her. Reminded her what she missed when we were kids. "That's good, I think." "It's very good," Jordan smiled. "Family's complicated, but you're building yours now. Make it better than what we had." "I will." That evening, Maya and Ethan walked Caleb to Maya's car. The boy was exhausted, practically falling asleep standing up. "Did you have fun?" Maya asked, buckling him into his booster seat. "So much fun. Uncle Jordan is so cool. And Grandma Catherine said she wants to take me to see the tigers." "That sounds wonderful, baby." Within minutes of driving, Caleb was asleep in the back seat. Ethan followed them home in his own car, helping carry a sleeping Caleb upstairs when they arrived. Maya got him changed into pajamas without fully waking him and tucked him into bed. Ethan stood in the doorway, watching. "He's out cold," Maya whispered. "Big day." They retreated to the living room, both sitting on the couch with a comfortable space between them. Not as much space as there used to be, but not pressed together either. Progress. "Your family is nice," Maya said. "Jordan especially. He liked you too, I could tell. And your mum, she's complicated. But I saw her with Caleb at the end. She was really trying." "Yeah," Ethan looked thoughtful. "I didn't expect that. Didn't expect her to want to be involved. Kids have a way of opening hearts we thought were closed. Caleb certainly opened mine." Maya smiled. "Mine too. From the moment he was born." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Outside, the night was dark and quiet. Inside, everything felt warm and safe. "Maya," Ethan said eventually, "I know we're taking this slow, and I respect that, but I need you to know something." "What?" "This isn't temporary for me. This isn't me just trying to be a good father and then moving on with my life. This is, you and Caleb are it for me, my family, my home." Maya's heart squeezed. "Ethan, I'm not asking you to say anything back. I'm just telling you where I stand, so there's no confusion. No more misunderstandings." She reached for his hand, threading her fingers through his. "I'm not there yet, not all the way, but I'm getting there. Every day, a little bit more. That's enough. That's more than enough." They sat holding hands, not needing to say anything else. The weight of the past was still there, it probably always would be, but it felt lighter now, manageable. "Stay for a bit?" Maya asked. "We could watch a movie, something mindless." "I'd like that." She put on some comedy. Neither of them really watched. Instead, they talked quietly about the day, about how Caleb had charmed everyone, about Jordan's terrible jokes, about Renee's pie that everyone had devoured. At some point, Maya's head found its way to Ethan's shoulder. His arm wrapped around her. It felt natural. "Right, this is nice," she murmured. "Yeah, it really is." The next 2 weeks fell into a rhythm. Ethan came over most evenings after work, sometimes just for an hour. Sometimes he stayed for dinner. Once, he spent the whole Saturday with them, doing ordinary things, grocery shopping, laundry, a trip to the library. Those ordinary moments meant everything. Maya found herself thinking about him when he wasn't there, smiling at her phone when he texted, looking forward to the sound of his knock on her door. Caleb was thriving. His teacher mentioned how much happier he seemed lately, how he talked about his dad constantly, how he'd drawn another family picture this time, with everyone smiling even bigger. One evening, 3 weeks after the cookout, Maya and Ethan were sitting on her couch after Caleb had gone to bed. They'd been talking about scheduling the DNA test, not because either of them doubted, but because it made things official, legal, protected Caleb. "I called a clinic today," Ethan said. "They can fit us in next Tuesday." "Okay, I'll take the morning off work." "You don't have to." "I want to. We should do this together." He smiled. "Together. I like the sound of that." Maya studied his face, the face that had once broken her heart and was now slowly healing it. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything. Where do you see this going?" "Us, I mean. Not just you and Caleb, but us." Ethan was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "Honestly, I see us together. Really together. Maybe not today or next week, but eventually. I see Caleb having both his parents in the same house. I see building a life that's ours, not separate pieces we're trying to fit together. That's a big picture. Too big?" "No." Maya took a deep breath. "Actually, I think I see the same thing. It scares me, but I see it too." "Yeah? Yeah." She shifted closer to him. "I'm not ready to rush anything, but I'm ready to stop being afraid, ready to believe this could actually work." Ethan cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing her cheek. "Can I kiss you?" Maya's breath caught. They hadn't kissed since getting back in touch, hadn't even come close. But now, with his hand warm against her skin and his eyes searching hers, she realized how much she'd been waiting for this moment. "Yes," she whispered. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to change her mind. But she didn't. Their lips met softly, tentatively, like they were both afraid of breaking something precious. The kiss was gentle. Sweet. Nothing rushed or desperate. Just two people reconnecting after years of being apart. When they pulled back, Maya was crying. "Hey," Ethan said, concerned. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. I'm just..." She laughed through her tears. "I'm happy. Actually, genuinely happy. I forgot what this felt like." He pulled her into his arms, holding her close. She buried her face in his chest, breathing in his familiar scent, feeling his heartbeat steady beneath her ear. "I love you," she whispered, before she could stop herself. Ethan went very still. Then he pulled back just enough to look at her face. "What did you say?" "I love you." I never stopped. Even when I was angry, even when I was scared, there was always love underneath it all. "Maya," his voice was thick with emotion. "I love you too. So much." They kissed again, deeper this time, years of longing and regret and hope pouring into it. When they finally broke apart, both of them were smiling. "We're really doing this," Maya said. "We're really trying. We're more than trying. We're succeeding," she laughed. "One day at a time, one day at a time, a time," he agreed. Tuesday arrived, and they took Caleb to the clinic for the DNA test. The boy was curious but not scared, asking questions about the process. "It's just a cheek swab," the nurse explained. "Like brushing your teeth, but faster." "Will it hurt?" "Not even a little. It took less than 5 minutes." They were told results would come in about a week, though everyone in the room already knew what they'd say. After the clinic, they took Caleb for ice cream, a celebratory treat for being so brave. "What are we celebrating?" Caleb asked through a mouthful of chocolate. "You," Maya said. "And our family. Our family is the best family." Ethan and Maya exchanged a smile over his head. "Yeah, buddy, it really is." That evening, after dropping Maya and Caleb home, Ethan drove to Jordan's place. His brother opened the door with a knowing grin. "You look disgustingly happy. What happened?" "We kissed. Finally. Took you long enough." "Shut up," Ethan laughed. "But yeah, it was. Perfect. She's perfect. And Jordan, I know this sounds crazy, but I think I'm going to marry her someday." "That doesn't sound crazy at all. Really, really, you found your person, the mother of your child, the love of your life. Why wouldn't you marry her? It's fast. You've known her for 7 years, dated her for 2 of those years, and she's the mother of your 6-year-old son. That's not fast. That's just timing. Ethan sat down on Jordan's couch. I want to do this right, though. Build the foundation first. Make sure we're solid, smart. Take your time. But man, don't wait too long. Life's short. Happiness is rare. When you find it, hold on tight. The DNA results came back exactly as expected. Ethan was Caleb's father, 99.9% certainty. The paperwork made it official. That night, Ethan brought champagne to celebrate. They drank it after Caleb was asleep, toasting to new beginnings and second chances. To family, Maya said, raising her glass. To us, Ethan added. They clinked glasses and drank. The champagne was sweet and bubbly, making Maya giggle. I'm not used to drinking, she admitted. This is going straight to my head. Lightweight. She swatted his arm playfully. They ended up on the couch again. Maya curled against Ethan's side, his arm around her shoulders. I've been thinking, Maya said. About telling Caleb the full story someday, when he's older. About how we met, how we fell in love, how we lost each other, and how we found our way back. That's a good story. It's our story. The best story. Ethan agreed. He kissed the top of her head. Maya, move in with me. She sat up, surprised. What? Okay, maybe not right this second, but eventually. Your lease is up in what, 3 months? 2.5. So in 2.5 months, instead of renewing, move in with me. You and Caleb. We'll find a place together, something with a backyard where he can play. Good schools nearby, space for all of us. Maya's mind raced. That's big. I know, but we're already doing this. We're already a family. Why keep living separately? She wanted to say yes immediately, but the cautious part of her, the part that had been hurt before, made her pause. Can I think about it? She asked. Of course. Take all the time you need. But even as she said it, Maya knew what her answer would be. Because Ethan was right. They were already a family. Already building a life together. Moving in was just making it official. 2 days later, she texted him. Yes, let's do it. Let's find a place together. His response was immediate. Really? Really? For our family? Finding a house took 3 weeks. They looked at apartments, townhouses, and small homes. Finally found a perfect 2-bedroom house with a fenced yard, updated kitchen, and a park within walking distance. Caleb loved it immediately. Can this be my room? Please? Whatever room you want, buddy, Ethan said. They signed the lease together, Maya's name and Ethan's name on the same document, making it real, making it official. Moving day was chaos. Renee helped pack, while Jordan and some friends carried boxes. Caleb ran between rooms, excited and overwhelmed in equal measure. By evening, most of the big stuff was moved. They ordered pizza and ate sitting on the floor of the living room, surrounded by boxes. Home, Caleb said, looking around with wonder. Home, Maya echoed, reaching for Ethan's hand. That first night in their new place, they put Caleb to bed in his new room. He'd already decorated it with his drawings, his glow-in-the-dark stars transferred carefully from the old ceiling. Will you both read me a story? He asked. So they did. Maya on one side of his bed, Ethan on the other, trading off pages of Caleb's favorite book. When they finished, Caleb was already half asleep. Love you, Mommy, he murmured. Love you too, baby. Love you, Dad. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. It was the first time Caleb had called him that directly. Not Ethan, not my dad when talking to others. Just, Dad. Love you too, Caleb. So much. They closed his door quietly and stood in the hallway together. Maya took Ethan's hand. You okay? She asked. Better than okay. He pulled her close. This is everything I never knew I needed. Me too. They walked to their bedroom, their shared bedroom now. It felt surreal, wonderful, right. So, Maya said, suddenly nervous, this is happening. We can take it slow, Ethan assured her. Separate sides of the bed, no pressure, she laughed. I think we're past that point. Are we? Instead of answering, she kissed him. Long and deep and full of promise. When they finally broke apart, both of them were breathing hard. Yeah, Ethan managed. We're definitely past that point. 3 months into living together, everything had settled into a beautiful routine. Ethan made breakfast most mornings. Maya handled bedtime stories. They traded off cooking dinner and doing dishes. Caleb had adjusted beautifully, thriving in his new school and new neighborhood. On a quiet Saturday evening, after Caleb had gone to a sleepover at Jordan's place, Ethan and Maya found themselves alone for the first time in weeks. They made dinner together, nothing fancy, just pasta and salad, drank wine, talked about everything and nothing. "Remember when we first started dating?" Maya asked. "We used to stay up all night just talking. I remember. You told me about wanting to be a nurse. I told you about my terrible childhood. You told me you'd never felt this way about anyone before." "Still true," Ethan said. "More true every day." Maya smiled. "We've come full circle, back to where we started, but better this time. Much better. We're not scared kids anymore. No, we're parents, partners. We're in love," Ethan finished. "Completely, hopelessly in love. That too." They cleaned up dinner together, moving around each other with practiced ease, then settled on the couch, Maya tucked against Ethan's side. "I have something for you," Ethan said suddenly. "Yeah?" He pulled out a small box from his pocket. Not a ring box, something different. Maya opened it to find a simple silver bracelet with 3 charms, a heart, a small C for Caleb, and a tiny house. "It's our family," Ethan explained. "All of us together. I saw it and thought of you." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "It's perfect." He helped her put it on, fastening the clasp. She held up her wrist, watching the charms catch the light. "Thank you," she whispered. "For this, for everything, for coming back, for staying, for being the person I always hoped you'd be. Thank you for giving me a second chance, for being brave enough to let me in, for raising our son into the amazing kid he is." They kissed softly, tenderly. No urgency, just connection. Love. "Ethan, yeah? I'm happy. Genuinely, completely happy. I didn't think I'd feel this way again, but here we are. Here we are," he agreed. "Building our life, one day at a time. One day at a time." 6 months after moving in together, on a warm Sunday afternoon, they gathered in the backyard with both their families. Jordan and Renee had become unexpected friends, bonding over their shared love of terrible reality TV. Catherine visited more often now, bringing Caleb books and teaching him chess. They were having a simple cookout, nothing fancy, just family. Caleb ran around the yard with a soccer ball while the adults talked and laughed. At one point, he kicked the ball too hard and it went over the fence. Ethan immediately went to retrieve it, Caleb following close behind. Maya watched them go, her heart full. Renee sat down beside her. "You did good, baby," her mother said quietly. "We both did good. He's a good man. Better than I thought he'd be. He works at it every day. We both do." Renee squeezed her hand. "That's what love is. Working at it, choosing each other, building something that lasts." "Is that what you and Daddy had?" "That's exactly what we had. For 30 years before he passed." Renee smiled. "And that's what you and Ethan are building now. I see it. Everyone sees it." Ethan and Caleb returned with the ball, both of them laughing about something. Caleb immediately ran to show Jordan a trick, while Ethan came over to Maya. "Hey," he said, dropping a kiss on her head. "Hey yourself. You look happy." "I am happy." "Good." He pulled her up. "Come on. Let's play with Caleb." They spent the rest of the afternoon playing together, the 3 of them, while their family watched and smiled and celebrated this second chance at love and family. As the sun began to set and people started to leave, Caleb grabbed both Maya and Ethan's hands. "Can we stay outside a little longer?" he asked. "Just us?" "Of course," Maya said. They walked around the yard together, Caleb between them, chattering about his day. The sky turned pink and orange. Birds sang their evening songs. Everything felt peaceful. Perfect. "Hey guys," Caleb said suddenly. "Are we going to be together forever?" Maya and Ethan looked at each other over his head. The same look they'd shared 100 times now, full of love and promise and commitment. "Yes," they said together. "Good." Caleb swung their joined hands. "Because this is the best family ever." Maya squeezed Ethan's hand, feeling the weight of everything they'd built, the foundation they'd laid, the future they were creating. "Yeah, buddy," Ethan said softly, his eyes meeting Maya's with absolute certainty. It really is. They walked into the fading light together, a family formed not by perfection, but by presence. Not by avoiding mistakes, but by learning from them. Not by fear, but by the courage to love again. Their story wasn't perfect, but it was theirs, and it was beautiful. One day at a time, together, the end.